We are live on YouTube. Going to give folks time to come in. Check our volume. Check mic, check mic. Going to go over to Facebook and send a link to all the gonna make sure everybody on Facebook know that I'm live right now. everybody time to come in. I'm sending links to Facebook right now. Stand by. We'll be starting shortly. Test 1 2. Test 1 2. One more audio check. All right. Good there. Welcome everyone. Welcome to Left Coast Channel. Glad to have you guys here. And don't be shy. Go ahead and let your presence be known. We're gonna do a base evaluation here. Still working on the this bass from the previous live videos. It's an ITZ DSR bass. All right. So as I've been tweaking the bass, I've been watching, and observing its progression. And what I've done to the bass so far is I use pliers. My tweaking pliers, needle nose pliers, Zero pliers, duckbill pliers, and I also use this small mini wrench right here, which I'll talk about later. And I flashed the prongs also. I have not put warm pliers yet on the prongs of this bass, because once you put hot pliers to the bass, that pretty much will set the prongs in the desired angle that you set them at. All right. So all I want to do right now is, as I work with the bass, I observe its movement, and I haven't trimmed the tips of the bass yet. I haven't used my bass trimmer here, prong trimmer, if you will. I haven't used that yet, and I would normally use that with these straight edge straight edge nail clippers. So we have a few viewers so far. Don't be afraid to announce your attendance here. So yeah, I flatten the prongs, work with them. I condition the prongs, and I've been pretty much running this particular figure on the bass One, because of how balanced it is. It basically is a modified Haiti Repro figure that I sculpt customized on it. And let's see, I want to keep this base off to the side here. I'm going to come back to that one. All right, so I was just running the base, working with the prongs and running it, and pretty much evaluating how I intend to use the base on my team, be it defense or offense. So I'm going to go ahead and do a little run test for you here, and let's see what we got. Okay, the base moves a lot quicker. It's more responsive from just pressing on the prongs and flashing it. So what I've been doing, since then, I've been using my fingers now and just touching the prongs, making sure they're still aligned. All right. So I don't intend to use this base on this figure. As I said before, I'm scouting this base to see the best place for it. All right, run it again. Still turns to the right a little bit, because if you recall in the previous video, go over to the desktop here. I showed the initial movement of the figure. This is a picture of the front of the base, by the way. I'll get back to that momentarily. Let's blow this up real quick. I showed the initial movement of the figure, and if you watch this video here, you notice how the figure turns to the right, and it was running with the receiver, as you see here. All right. Well, it's not doing that anymore, as you saw in the previous run test. The figure is moving more. It's more straight now. So let's go back to our field. All right. So the figure is moving. It's moving straighter now. It's not turning to the right as sharply as it was when I only tweaked the back prongs. So what I'm showing you here is as you tweak the base will start to change. Its movement will begin to change. Its resistance will change as well. And that's something else I'm going to talk about in a little bit. Run it again. So it's still getting up. It's getting upfield, and it's turning to the right a little bit later. And the way I changed the direction of movement on this base was with my pliers. I simply twisted the prongs slightly. The front prongs, I twisted them a little bit away from the direction of movement, its original direction of movement, which was to the right. So I twisted the prongs so now the base will come more to the left, causing the base to run straighter. Let's run it again. I think I put a little bit, I think I probably twisted the prongs the wrong way that time. But as you saw there, the figure turned sharper to the right again. That's a little bit erratic. So as you can see, the base is doing different things. Running to the right sometimes when I touch it. If I touch the prongs again, it may run up the field. So that's what tweaking is all about. You work with the base until you get that base to respond in the way that you want it to. All right. Let's see. Now, as I said before, I don't intend to use this base on this type of figure. Why? Because this figure has a very tall profile. As I said before, this was a Haiti Repro modified sculpted Haiti Repro defensive back. It's rather tall. See, what I've what I see with these ITZ DSR bases here, with the type of with what I'm doing with my figures, this base, I don't intend to use it on a tall figure. I'm going to use this base on a lower, on a shorter type of figure, like a cornerback, or a running back. Okay. Got a couple of figures here. These are some of the sculpted figures that I've shown in previous videos. Here, let's say grab one more here. I got another tight end. I got a figure here also. That's a tight end right there. Kind of tall, but I still want to evaluate how the base would run on these various types of figures. So here's one of my cornerbacks, and as you can see, this figure, it ducks down. You see that? It's shorter. It has a lower profile than the Haiti Repro, than this Haiti Repro defensive back figure I have here. All right. Yeah, welcome to the channel, guys. Welcome to the channel. You know, don't be afraid to announce your presence. So yeah, so what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna show you what this base is doing on various types of figures in an effort to evaluate the best type of figure for this base to be on. All right, so I'm going to start with this my cornerback figure here. I'm going to take this base off. This is another base that I was handling right here. All right, this base we'll talk about later. Set him over here. Okay, so I'm going to move the base off the safety and put it on our cornerback. We want to keep track of this guy, so we don't want to misplace him here. So I'll take this base off and put it on him. All right, so now got my cornerback figure here, and let's run it and see how it goes. Able Tube, welcome. You say you're new and thanks for the content. Well, welcome, Able Tube. Yeah. As always, this channel is geared toward exposing the hobby of electric football and reaching out to those potential fans out there who want to play electric football, may not know about electric football. So for the veteran guys, you know, this what I do here is it's what they do. So they're here, but they're not as moved as those outside the hobby. But that's another story. All right. So here we have our cornerback on ITZ DSR base that I was working on, and we'll see how it goes. A little bit jumpy. As you can see, the figure moves up the field a little bit quicker. But again, no hot pliers have been put on these prongs yet, so the prongs haven't been set. So the front prongs tend to grab from time to time. So any front leaning figure, it could potentially, you know, fall over, especially with a tall figure like this one, like the Haiti Repro figure I showed you earlier. All right, let's run it again. Okay, you see that? Low profile figure runs on this base a little bit better. It goes further up the field. It doesn't turn to the right or turn to the left, right? So like I said, I intend to use this base on a low profile figure, either at cornerback or running back. All right, so let's take this figure off the base. This is one of our cornerbacks. Going to set him off over here. And this is what I want to do here. This is my Ezekiel Elliott customized pose. All right, you may have seen this pose in the previous videos that I've done, and I got it on the Formula 37 base by ITZ. This is one of the clear bases, which I also modified to meet weight standards. All right, let's take him off that base, and we're going to put him on this base. All right. Now, I don't expect him to run well on this base. Why? Because if you look at the pose, he leans forward, and it's a lot of weight on the back and the chest area, the torso area. So the front of this base may grab. Let's stand things up here. Let's run him and see what he does. Okay, it runs, but it turns to the left. And the weight distribution combined with now soft prongs because of the tweaking, the base, it bounces a little bit. Watch. So yeah, that figure turns to the left a little bit. Doesn't run really well. Now here's the same base from the Ezekiel Elliott figure, right? I'm going to switch it real quick. I'm going to just put our DSR base down here in the back of the end zone. I'm going to take this base and put it on our safety. Let's see how it runs. See, on that guy, this guy runs really well on this ITZ Formula 37 base, right? This is the base that I tweaked for Ezekiel Elliott, by the way, for the Ezekiel Elliott figure. Let's switch it back. All right. So what we're doing here is, as we tweak our base, we're evaluating the base for performance. All right. So got Ezekiel Elliott back on the board again, this time on his base. And we're going to run him, see what he does on his own base. All right. Not bad, but it can be better. Still working this one. Still working on that base. So we're going to put the Ezekiel Elliott figure back over here. So now, still evaluating the ITZ DSR base. And now we're going to move it over to another running back. Now this is a different pose, and this figure is lighter and smaller than my Ezekiel Elliott pose. All right. Both of these figures, by the way, are game day figures. They both are game day figures. This running back is a little bit lighter than the Ezekiel Elliott running back. This is this pose was derived from the Diesel pose. That figure has a little bit more girth than, say, this pose right here. All right. So we're going to take this figure and try it out on our ITZ DSR base. All right. Set that right there. Now again, only use cold pliers and flash. No warm pliers yet. All right, and I haven't trimmed the prongs either, because when you trim your prongs, that helps the base to gain power. That's something I'm going to do offline after this video. So let's run this guy, see what he does. Okay, kind of bouncy. All right, this is potential running back here. All right, and I'm going to talk about why I intend to use. I'm going to show you why I intend to use this type of base at corner or running back momentarily, along with these pliers right here. This is another pair of mini pliers. I digress for a moment. Okay, we're going to run them again. Look at them one more time. Still kind of bouncy. All right, let's run it again. All right, let's go this way. come from back here. See how it goes. All right, bit choppy. All right, so we tried that guy out. All right, so we're gonna get another figure here. This figure right here is a potential defensive lineman figure. All right, another one of my modified sculpt jobs. But again, I don't intend to use this base on the line. All right, but I just want to just see how well it does, because sometimes the base can show you, you know, it can show you good blitz capabilities. And since this guy, I intend to use this guy as a defensive end, I figure maybe I can have him, you know, have him blitz maybe. Let's run him. And this guy, he runs straight down the board. So I know a lot of times the position of the pose of the figure has an effect on the base as well. Let's run him again. Okay, he runs straight down the board. He's kind of fluid when he moves. That's a good look. All right. So we had our defensive end. We used a corner. This is another one of my corners, by the way. He's a little bit taller than this corner right here. He's a little bit taller. Because in fact, this is a modified Haiti Repro linebacker pose that I turned into a cornerback. His pose is not as. He's about pretty much the same height, if not a little bit taller. This guy is right here. So we're gonna set him on the base and try him out and see how he runs. All right, position him. See, again, this is only scouting here we're doing. We're not assigning any base to anybody right now. All right, let's run him. Falls over. All right, it's a bit choppy, and the reason why is because of the front prongs. Once I put the warm pliers on these prongs, it's going to cause the base to settle down. I'll be able to set the prongs at the right angle, and that will greatly reduce the front prongs from grabbing the board. Because these ITZ Formula 24 bases. They're soft. They're not as soft as Formula 37s, but they're soft enough where the prongs grab the sheet metal, and it causes the figure to tip over if it's a front leaning kind of pose. Let's run it. Able 2 tube, you have a 4x2 foot field. Did you build it yourself, or did someone build it for you? Let's run this figure again while we wait for Able 2 tube to answer. Okay, he runs a little bit better. See, so I know that by simply repositioning those front prongs with just using my fingers now, I can adjust how much grab that base does on the board. All right. So, okay, we're going to keep that guy there. And what I wanted to show you concerning the use of these mini pliers right here, you can adjust them also. All right. It's like a small pipe wrench, if you will. You know, you can adjust these pliers. Sometimes you'll get a base that the dial is kind of loose inside the shell. Oh, you have the tutor board. Okay, and how well is it working out for you over there? How well is it working out? Okay, sometimes you get a bass with a dial, and this is the bass we're evaluating. The dial, as you see here, which by the way, I take the dial out when I start tweaking. When I tweak the dial, the prongs on the dial. All right. This the tip right here. The tip right here can be stretched a little bit. You can flatten it out, and it will grab that little hole right there in the center, in the center of the dial. And the way I do it with these pliers is open the pliers up at the desired width, if you will, size, and I press down on that dial, on the tip there. All right, bite down on it, causing it to spread a little bit, and I go around the tip like so, all the way around it, and I get that tip to stretch, to spread out some, so that when I put the dial back into the shell, the dial's a little bit more snug in there. You see? So before I start the tweak, I do that. Get that dial tight. All right? So that's how I use those pliers. Okay, so you said you didn't use your board yet. All right. So you're doing home renovation. Okay, so when you find time, you go ahead and you get to that. You got to take care of your house first. You know, we don't expect you to play. We don't expect you to prioritize this hobby over your home projects. You know, speaking of home projects, I had to clean my deck, you know, on Saturday. So because I would have done this video then, but had to clean the rails and the floor of the deck and the siding and things like that. You know, every year the moss, you know, I got moss on the back of the house and on my deck, so got to clean that off. So that's priority. It's priority one. Okay, so we still have this bass, right? So I want to take you back over to the desktop, and I want to show you something here with the concerning the bass compared to another type of ITZ bass that I intend to use on my team, as opposed to the DSR bass. So what we're going to do here is we're going to toggle that down, and here's the front of the bass as I showed you earlier, and these are the prongs. Just by using the pliers, by using my flat pliers and my lighter to flash, the front prongs, as you see, they are all touching the board. A little bit dark in this area here, but you for the most part you can see those prongs. Let's move up a little bit. Okay, here we got two different basses from ITZ. The bass on the right is the DSR bass that I'm evaluating, and I intend to put that bass on a cornerback or a running back. Why? Because that bass is a little bit shorter. See, so that short bass on a tall figure or a figure that's leaning forward, that bass tends to topple over. Now, mind you, I don't play with stock figures. I play with customized. I sculpt on my figures. So my figures' weight distribution is different. Okay? So that's another reason why you saw my figures a couple of times topple over, because my figures are a little bit top heavy from the sculpting clay that I use to modify the figures. All right, and now the bass on the left is a bass from ITZ as well. That's called the bullet bass. Now, in tournament play, The bullet base cannot be used on linemen. You can't use them on defensive linemen or offensive linemen, right? This base, by the way, is called the DSB base, dial speed bullet, I believe it's called, but I know it's DSB, Delta Sierra Bravo. All right. Now, if you notice that base on the left is the bullet base, DSB base, and that base is a little bit longer. Okay. I'm tweaking one of those too, and I'm evaluating it to play as a safety, a tight end, possibly wide receiver, because I have some wide receivers that are rather tall. Okay, so that base on the left, the DSB base, is good for those kinds of figures to help support the additional height and weight of my sculpt modified figures. I haven't started pouring any molds of these figures yet because I'm still evaluating my sculpt work, by the way. All right. Let's see if I can get a close up here of. Let's see. I have some figures here, a little close up. These were pictures I had taken from the previous videos I had done. Let's open this one up. All right. Here we have some of my sculpts. All right. Gone far right is a possible middle linebacker. Really, all of them are linebackers. The guy in the middle, that's a linebacker. Possibly middle, outside. Oh, I could use that safety. Depends. All right. Let's close this one. Let me grab that one. See what this is. Okay, these are some defensive linemen right here, and you can see all of them are standing on ITZ bases. So the guy that's in the middle is a defensive tackle, but again, remember you can't use boat bases on defensive linemen. All right. So basically, what this video is about is pretty much evaluating the base and seeing the best place for that base to go. You know, around, over the decades of this game, consumers who had this game, they didn't understand how to look at their figure, put it on the base, and get that figure and base to work together. Although back in those days, the figures were pretty much standard. There weren't any custom figures like there are today in different poses. All right. So yeah, that's pretty much what I'm doing here on this end here at Electric Coast Studios. Tweaking bases, evaluating the base, and seeing how best to use that base on a team. And I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm Mo. Thanks for watching.